Hi Capricorn, welcome to July. Welcome to the month of the year that hosts a full moon eclipse in your sign. And it's pretty nice. Optimism, good news. So what's happening with this eclipse is that it is in positive aspect to Uranus and Taurus. Taurus is currently in your 5th house. So you can expect exciting developments, news for you in terms of love, in terms of babies, in terms of creative projects, in terms of optimism. Pretty nice, huh? Of course, your ruler Saturn is moving back into your sign, which is really interesting because Mars is in its home sign of Aries. Ooh. The stars in 2020 are wild. They're really funny. In a if you don't laugh, you cry kind of way. But anyway, for you, this eclipse is really good. So it's closing off some kind of development with self, first and foremost. So I was talking to my friend who's a Capricorn rising, so she's Capricorn in the 1st house. And for a lot of you, especially if you are Capricorn rising, it could be a big change in appearance. It could be a brand new hairdo. It could be a whole new regime. It could be a whole new wardrobe. A lot of you, it could be quite on the external in terms of appearance, but I think for most of you it's kind of wrapping up Saturn's journey in a way. Even though Saturn will be in your sign for the rest of the year until December, it's kind of wrapping up an important couple of years in self-development for you. You've really changed. You've really learned where you're restricting yourself, where you've been restricted, where you have been very hard and pessimistic on yourself, because you do that. It never stops you climbing, but you do it. So this eclipse for you is going to give you something joyous. I think in terms of Saturn, there's always a reward when Saturn finally leaves a sign, and it will leave your sign in December. But the eclipse is almost, the way it's aspected astrologically, particularly with Jupiter, which is in your sign, don't forget it, it feels like there is something that you could really benefit from, something really exciting. But this is Cancer season and it is in your opposite sign. So a second new moon in Cancer is coming up too. In terms of romance, or in terms of partnerships, in terms of committed relationships, there's something that you want to manifest either for you and your significant other, or you want to manifest a significant other. And if it's neither, maybe it's business. Maybe you want a legal contract. Maybe you want something solid to be signed, sealed and delivered. Bear in mind, Mercury retrogrades until the 12th in this area, so there's some stuff to tie up before then. And not only that, there may be a few quite unusual synchronicities in terms of your past. Strange serendipitous moments are abound in July, so enjoy those. Capricorn, you're just such a big player in 2020, and here we pull the card that is 20, Judgment. Big changes, big news, dare I say some kind of resurrection, something you thought was done, or something so big you can't ignore it, some big kind of change, some very big news. Could be surrounding a Scorpio, but there's big news. Intriguing. So, Judgment energy is so funny. It's very 2020, but it is for you on a personal level a lot to do with Pluto. Pluto is in your sign, and this month the Cancer energy and the Capricorn energy opposes a few times in a way that could be quite huge in the upcoming months, in a way that, particularly after eclipse, it could really shake the world, literally, metaphorically. For your life, it feels like if you feel you cannot keep going, there is something ahead that will inspire you to do so if you do just keep going. With Judgment and the Nine of Wands as your opening cards, it feels sometimes like you struggle for the information you need. You struggle, particularly with Mercury retrograde in Cancer, you struggle for the words that you need, you struggle for the communication you need, you want to hear something more than you're hearing, you need to hear something more than you're hearing, you need more information, you need more clarity on where you or something is going. Two of Wands. There's really strong crossroads energy here. Makes sense. With all the oppositions, it makes a lot of sense. Judgment, Nine of Wands, Two of Wands. For some of you, it's very much a road less travelled moment where you wonder if you should have gone down a particular route, if you should have made a different choice, if something in the past was more to your liking. Or maybe it could have been different. Mercury retrograde in Cancer can give you that type of perspective. It can also cloud your perspective. So you may indulge yourself in the past a little bit in the first 12 months. 12 months, 12 days. 12 months. You may go backwards a little bit. But with the same story that I'm saying to many of the signs is a lot of the time with Mercury retrograde we go backwards to move forwards. It's not that we want to dwell back there, it's just that we need a little bit of clarity. I think for you, you're looking for a bit of clarity in something. You're waiting for news, you're waiting for an answer, you're waiting for a sign. Because the next step is somewhat unclear. The next venture, the next move, the next moment is very unclear for you. You would like to know a little bit more, but you can't. Not until the eclipse is passed, not until the energies of the eclipse become apparent, because they rarely do immediately. So while the eclipse is happening on the 4th, 5th, depending on where you are in the world, the information you receive could take 6 months. I doubt it, but it could take 6 months. Between now and the end of the year, you've some really, really interesting stuff going on, particularly with Mars being in Aries. And we can discuss that because that, Capricorn, is your 4th house of family and home. Your home situation for the next 6 months is going to be quite interesting. Whether it involves putting energy into a move, whether it involves putting energy into renovation, whether it involves putting energy into fixing something quite long-standing with family members, there's going to be a big focus on the home. For all the cardinal signs, 10 of Cups, big focus on family, on resolving something, on helping something. There's a lot of potential to have a 10 of Cups moment. Even if at times it feels very challenging and you want to give up, remember why you're doing it. Remember the reason it matters. Remember the reason that you want it. And that is what will keep you going. So, okay. Very nice. Very nice. It's underneath Queen of Cups. Maybe I'll talk about her in a second. So, the Moon, the Page of Cups, the King of Pentacles, and the Empress. Beautiful. Lunar eclipse in Capricorn, new moon in Cancer. What does it bring? For many of you, in the next 6 months, you could be expecting a lunar eclipse in the 5th house. What do you expect? expecting. Ironic. For a lot of you that are trying to manifest love, very nice. You could manifest emotional abundance in some way, Capricorn, into your life with these moons. The new moon in Cancer is the perfect time to set intentions for how you want your romantic life to look, whether attached, whether not. Very, very, very powerful intentions, particularly with Saturn being in your sign. You have this, particularly if you are born at the very end of the Capricorn spectrum. If you're born at the very start, if you're a December Capricorn, it doesn't affect you as much, Saturn. You've kind of gone through that. The thing is, with the energy being what it is, you can sometimes restrict yourself quite a bit in your expectations of things coming towards you, of things working out for you with Saturn in your sign. There can be pessimism that as a Capricorn, when the energy's not aligned, you can really fall into. The thing is, this lunar eclipse in your sign is blessed. It really is blessed by Uranus and by Jupiter. It's not overwhelmingly intense in terms of aspects, but that's kind of comfortable for an eclipse, just because the eclipse itself is so powerful. So there is some kind of communication, possibly with another earth sign. I'm gonna bet Taurus, but I'm also seeing Libra. Some kind of new beginning. I think for a lot of you this is to do with children. I think there's a lot of good news coming for you in the next 6 months in terms of children, in terms of romance, and in terms of creating something together. Because the thing about the Empress is that it's not always about literally birthing a child. You can birth many things in life. You can create many ideas. You can create a home. You can create a project. You can create a business. You can create art. Whatever it is, Capricorn, you're doing very well at it. And this aspect to Uranus is unexpected, but it's something that you want. It's very happy. It's especially positive if you are looking for the pitter patter of tiny feet. But if not, just remember this is creating something in the world that you will really, really, really love. Or someone you will really, really, really love with this energy. And what's better than that? For many of you, that feels somewhat, I must say, as we approach July, somewhat unreachable. Again, particularly I think if you're the end degree of Capricorn, but it can apply. There are big changes occurring for you, really big. You know, to have an eclipse in the first house, as huge as it is, but we just had that solar eclipse in your partnership sector. For a lot of you, this is the year you meet the person you're meant to marry. For a lot of you, this is the year that you get engaged. For a lot of you, this is the year you have your first child. For a lot of you, this is the year you have that miracle, I think. It's a really beautiful hand. Of course, I wouldn't be doing astrological justice if I didn't mention the fact that there are certain aspects that are quite tricky. You know, with your ruler Saturn connecting to Mars, and Pluto in your sign connecting to Mars, and Jupiter connecting to Mars. Basically, Mars is coming in for you and is throwing stuff up in the air. But with the Ten of Cups, I feel like if you stay committed to knowing what it is that you want and what the end game is, and for a lot of you that's keeping the peace, I think you'll do very well. And I think you'll actually move forward with Mars, because with Mars, it's the energy that you put into it. Despite it being frustrating at times, you can still commit to overcoming it. Mars loves a warrior. Mars loves you to fight for what you want. And the oppositions between Saturn and Pluto are there to really align you with what it is that you need to feel more balanced in life, what it is that you need to feel more connected in life, what it is that you need to work through in order to be happy. Because the opposite energy can balance you, it can also throw you off balance. That's why astrology is so important. It shows you what you need to work on. Your opposite sign, Cancer, often shows you what you require in order to get the complete, to get the whole picture. But look at that. Such a pretty hand. In terms of your money, Saturn has now moved out of your second house. So for those of you that are early degree Capricorns, December Capricorns, you'll stop feeling the pinch as much. You'll start feeling like you can put something away. You'll start feeling like you can work with your money and spend it a little bit. In terms of career, the new moon is a wonderful time to create a contract. If that is what you want, to manifest a contract, get those new moon intentions out. It is important that in terms of what it is that you really want in order to create, and think of it as creating. Think of it if you are in a tricky situation job-wise, think of it as creating a new job. Think of it as creating an opportunity. Just get in with the creative spirit. Get in with the idea of creating it in your head before you see it in your hand. If you can see it in your eye, you can see it in your hand. Actually, a moon in Capricorn said that to me yesterday. So I feel like that's a bit of a sign for you. But this is blessed. This is really beautiful. Especially for your energy, especially for you. Here we have Uranus and Taurus. We have the full moon eclipse. We have Pluto. It's really beautiful. I can't wait to get into it in the extended. Expect good news this month. It'll make you happy. Capricorn, I will see you in the extended. Have a wonderful July. Love ya.